morning, Superkickin with Stephen fans, your favorite two hosts right here. The Greg 1 right there, Stephen A 1181 right here, ready to talk up AW, NXT's deadline event that happened last night, and of course Survivor Series, and all the other in-ring action as we get into it. So, the Greg over there, how are you doing this fine weekend?
Hey, it's been a long week, let's say that. First week back from vacation and
Yeah.
trying to make up for it. Three double shifts in a row. And boy, a little tired, gotta admit it, but up and running. It's been a good week. So, just time if I have a week like this is after a vacation like that. So, can't complain. But Chargers are still hot. So, things are looking good.
Yeah, this week my Pacers they play today and then they don't play till Friday, Greg. So hopefully they'll get a couple good practices in to kind of reset themselves and possibly get on the right track. But the Colts are off today, so don't have to worry about that. And yeah, so we're ready to had deadline last night, Survivor Series last week. We got Winter is Coming. I was in attendance this past week for AEW. I left before Rampage because it was starting to pelt with ice.
Oh,
So I was
ouch.
glad to get out of there, and it was bitter cold. So
How
um,
was it in the building for
that was pretty
Dynamite?
good. I mean, it was a smaller venue, so this venue seats about 7,000. If that tells
Okay.
you how AEW's booking things now
Mhm.
with venues. So this is not the same venue that they used to go to in uh, closer to my part of town. This is about a 30-minute drive for me, but so I wanted to make sure I kind of got out there at the end of the evening. And yeah, Thursday was a high of in the teens, and the
Ouch.
wind chill was negative for a couple hours. So it was a fun, bitterly cold day. So yeah, I
Mm.
got out of there as the evening went. But let's talk up Survivor Series. So we'll kind of look at the individual matches first, Greg. Damian Priest loses to Gunther. Are we ever going to be done with Damian in Judgment Day?
Geez. It doesn't look like anytime soon. I mean,
Now that they've announced this little transfer window, I mean, does that? I mean, I guess that has to play a part. Finally breaking up. It does feel like Finn is pushing himself towards the leadership too, Greg.
right.
So I do wonder if this is ending. Finally just kind of breaking it all apart, or else Dominic with Liv and Raquel. Maybe Finn and JD together. But yeah, I just Finn keeps getting in these matches, which is understandable because that's he keeps saying that, but there needs to be an end game in sight because all the parties involved need to move on, right?
Exactly. I like it. You listen to Finn, we all win.
Hmm.
Um, and Finn has definitely established himself as I'm the man, I'm the leader. And that's how good clicks run. There's one guy who's calling all the shots.
Yeah.
Look at the bloodline. So I like that approach better. And then this new out of nowhere transfer. The transfer. I keep thinking transfer portal, but the
Yeah, pretty
transfer
much.
window or whatever it
Yeah.
is. Um, this may be the way to separate them finally
Yeah.
because that he's going to keep going and Priest isn't going to have anywhere else to go as long as they're in his business. So,
Hmm.
and I think he's run his course on Raw as far as people he could challenge and his character development. Maybe he can go to SmackDown and go heel or something like that, or at least change up his character a little bit. So he needs to come out of this Judgment Day mold and get a fresh coat of paint.
Hmm.
And I think this transfer window is a good way to do that.
Yeah, I mean, I would think you try to get maybe some of the bigger moves done by Netflix date, and then a new SmackDown that week and New Year's Evil kind of going back. So yeah, it should be interesting to see what kind of names move around. Especially after last night with Deadline and Ethan Page saying, I can't do this anymore. So I think he's getting a call up sooner rather than later. But we will get more into that as the weeks go on. But I like it. It's kind of a de facto draft without saying, without making it a dedicated
Right.
episode or two. And then if you still want to do those, during the NFL draft, now that they're not affiliated with Fox, I wonder if they'll even do that. They'll probably just do it whenever they think is best for them. So, Aura, he had an interesting week, Greg. He wins a title. He gets the bloodline involved with him, but they don't mess with him. And now that, we got Tonga Loa down for the time being, you got Bronson Reed down for the time being. Maybe Nakamura could slide in for a little. I don't know how he fits in there, Greg, but hey, they did not touch him. So maybe Solo, can finagle a little window there or a little, truce there. But Nakamura wins. LA Knight, I still think LA Knight will move on to bigger things, Greg. Not a bad match, but it was, I saw some mixed reviews, mixed feelings about LA Knight losing, but you had to do something bigger with Nakamura if you're going to give him this. I mean, this is a bigger change too for him. So it made a lot of sense to just pull the trigger now. It feels like an odd time. Survivor Series has kind of lost the luster of the big four. Let's face it. I think it's the lowest of the four, Greg, by a mile.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Nakamura wins, and like I said, interesting kind of little segment with the bloodline where they don't even touch him. So maybe that could play a role into things later on. So how's Nakamura's title win for you, Greg?
The match itself was a little weird. Something about it just felt off.
Yeah.
And I know they tried to paint LA Knight that way, that he couldn't get his game right while the match was going on, and maybe that's because of Nakamura's, his new character change. Well, not really character change, because that's what he was doing before he left.
Mm-hmm.
But now he's even darker. Now he's even a little more sinister, and LA couldn't get it going. So I get the angle. Just the match was a little strange to me.
He dropped the title too at the beginning, Greg. LA Knight did.
So maybe that was all planned. So it made it look like that. This.
Well, if it wasn't, it was good kismet.
Right. So yeah, it was strange beginning to end, but we called it that. If we're gonna bring back Nakamura, give him this big return, he can't come in and start jobbing to all over again.
Mm-hmm.
I saw a stat this morning that was giving Nakamura some praise, because for a while they decided to job Nakamura, and for the year of 22 to 23, he went 1-39.
Yeah.
And he didn't complain about it. He didn't say a word. He just went about his business. He jobbed out to everybody they wanted him to, and now he gets his payoff. Big new entrance. Another coat of paint on him, and now he's more dark and sinister. And you start him off by giving him the title. So there's your payment for your hard work and doing what was asked without complaining. So eat the crap sandwich and
taste.
Wait, get your reward later.
I think there's another one too that showed Solo has lost 20 straight dark matches to Cody Rhodes, and I'm just like, you got all this. If you're gonna do a dark match, it doesn't matter. So throw anybody to Cody. But I did see the 1-39 over, like you said, a year or so span. That is quite the for a veteran and a legend in Japan.
Right.
And never, like they said, never complaining, just shows up and does the work. So that shows, that's when you do things the right way, you get rewarded. I mean, I know Triple H, we've seen, old NXT days of Triple H and Nakamura. So we know Triple H believes in him, and probably just had to keep telling him, hey, we just got to get some other things in place. So, yeah.
Yeah, and I like that they had that low segment where the bloodline was backing off from him,
Yeah.
because that adds more to his mystique in this new character he's playing.
Yeah.
That, okay, this guy's crazy, don't mess with him.
Hmm.
And that Nakamura was backing up, but he was ready to go. He was looking, staring them all down, like, I will get whoever comes at me. And he wasn't backing down, but he's like, okay, I'm gonna detach myself from this situation,
Hmm.
but I'm watching you.
And it gives you the out of, like I said, you could have, I mean, Solo's not dumb. He could try to finagle something with Nakamura, a de facto pact or something. And then,
Mhm.
or else you have Nakamura attack him. And, maybe they, kind of lets maybe Tama or Jacob goes after that U.S. title. So I think you could go a couple different ways with that. Braun
Yeah.
Breaker Greg just continues to roll. This Braun is Braun. He is him and Jacob. Like we said, WrestleMania time, Greg. I mean, I think both guys will be involved in different matches. But who knows down the road, them two going at each other, that will be a good match for WrestleMania. And I still think Sheamus, I think the end game is to get him the IC title at Mania in Vegas. Because I think we're going to throw all the feel good, all the stories I mean, it's Vegas, Greg. So, what bigger, better spot? John Cena's last WrestleMania match. I mean, we are going to have stories galore. And I think Sheamus winning the title there makes a whole hell of a lot of sense. So I'm not worried about Sheamus, not worried about, Braun. Even if he loses it there, Braun will still be fine because, like we said, there's money in the bank. I mean, even then, you could just treat it like the old school days, and Braun just kind of moves up, up the rug anyway. So, and Ludwig Kaiser keeps, I think he's been shown in a good light, not being just Gunther's henchman. So, all worked out there. Any quick thoughts on there, and then we'll get into the War Games matches.
Yeah, I'm saying this was match of the night.
Okay, yeah.
Above all, if I was to go back and watch this pay-per-view, I would start with this match. This was a 5 alarm banger.
Hmm.
I love the way this match went down. Everybody, got their time in, and everybody looked awesome. Um, we discount, Kaiser, but Kaiser's on the come up, and he's looking better and better every time I see him. Sheamus is Sheamus. You're gonna get a banger if he's in the match. He's gonna hit hard and run fast, and he's going to, bring all the power. And speaking of power, Braun is showing that he's getting on that level too.
Hmm.
Um, and just all these three guys together work great together. This was a perfect recipe for a 3-man match.
Hmm.
Um, if they were all like this, I would be more of a fan of them. I'm not really a triple threat person, but every now and then you see those matches that are the exception that are that good, and this was that good for me. There was not a moment to turn away because there was always something happening, and all three of these guys brought it. I can't give them more respect. This was match of the night in my book. So, um, keep building Braun. That's the whole idea. But you're also bringing up Kaiser too. Um, because this is a big spotlight for him,
Yeah.
even though he's not winning a match, you know, more degrees of separation out of Gunther's shadow. So they're doing a great job with him. And, I'll be looking forward to seeing more of his match because he's showing he's more of a cerebral character. He's going to outthink you
Yeah.
and he's going to outmaneuver you.
Mhm.
And that's not an easy thing to do. So, and he's showing he's doing it at a high level. So, and like I said, Sheamus is Sheamus. He's Teflon, and he's going to have that lifetime achievement award at WrestleMania. So I agree with you on that. That's going to be the big payoff for him. But oh no, I can't give this match more praise. It was awesome.
Yep. Well, we had all faces to stand tall, Greg. No Rock, no Brock, nothing really at the end of the night. It sounds like The Rock might not be involved at WrestleMania now, so that might have been why we didn't see that. The women's side, little clunky. We did
Oof.
get, of course, um, the moonsault, the prettiest moonsault off the cage, and the trap, and then the genius of the sky. The camera did not catch both of them, Greg. I would thought they'd zoom out for both, but they definitely
Right.
want Tiffany's shown. Uh, I did like this spot where Rhea, kind of behind the scenes, handcuffed Raquel to kind of get that going. I mean,
Hmm.
I guess the end game is Rhea getting that title, right? I mean, that's why they won.
Yeah, I mean, with her pinning Liv, yeah, I'm sure that's the next, logical step. Um, Good grief, this was a brutal match to watch.
Yeah,
This
a
was the
little
opposite
clunky.
of Sheamus and Braun Breaker.
Yeah,
Um, it was hard to watch it sometimes. It's like these ladies did not were not feeling having a cage match where you have all the extra physicality of weapons and
hmm
um, EO's going to EO. We're going to get our trash can spot, and she didn't hold back. She came to the cage with the trash can strapped to her.
hmm
So, um, aside from her, and Tiffany, when she pulled out the briefcase out of the trash can, I was like, "Oh, here we go!" And we didn't get it again. Um, but yeah, it was so clunky, and there was some parts that was embarrassed to look at it. I saw a good cut of Naya and those brutal
yeah,
chair shots. Brutal.
yeah,
You may as well have just given them pillows. It would have had more impact. Um,
yeah.
so
Especially when
it's
you watch the men's match and they go right with the chairs as hard as they can. Uh,
right.
so, yeah, I mean, it is what it is. I mean, maybe in the men's side of things, you just feel bad because, um, well, it looked like Jacob was hurt legit, and
Yeah.
that was him selling the hell out of it, Greg. But then Bronson goes down. Kind of the same thing that Edge did, or sorry, Adam Copeland did. Just kind of hitting that weird angle.
Hmm.
I also saw Tonga is out indefinitely with a bicep or something like that,
Yeah.
and then Jimmy is out as well. So we had three pretty big injuries and all out indefinitely. So um, I think we were just waiting for the aftermath, and I think that's why it's going to bring this match down because, like I said, you're waiting. But I thought it was pretty cool seeing CM Punk and Roman Reigns. It was all about them, how they were
Hmm.
engaged. CM Punk runs out after him because he takes too long. Then they do the handshake afterwards, and you're still leaving it open that they could go at one another at some point, Greg. So I think everything worked in that regard. Um, and then like I said, MVP to Jacob because I was like, oh god, he got hurt again. But then he was out there on Friday and looking fine, Greg. So we dodged
Yeah.
the bullet there, but sucks for big Bronson Reed because
Yeah. I
Bronson
mean,
was headed for bigger things, I think.
I agree totally. And this is my big beef with this match. Um, before we knew about all the injuries, great match.
Yeah.
But and man, Solo needs to get an Emmy because, or not Solo, but Jacob Fatu needs
Yeah.
an Emmy because he misses the springboard, whatever he's doing off the ropes, and holy crap, yeah, we
yeah.
thought that he was because we had just seen this at the last one where
hmm
he just came in and he hit that move against the guardrail or the barrier and injured himself for real and was walking around in a super kicking people with a boot on.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Um, and it looked kind of the same way. And he sold it like it really happened again. So I mean, he had me hooked. And I was watching him to see, okay, how's he moving? And he sold that limp, dude. He needs to just go straight to Hollywood because he's gonna make more money than The Rock. But it's a great match. I loved how the story unfolded. But my big issue with it is, at what price victory? Because now you lost three big pieces of the whole story. And for
Mhm.
what? To do moves off the top of the cage. I mean, these guys are not high flyers. Bronson Reed should be the last person diving off the top of a cage.
Mm,
And we see they're going for that more because they put that little triangle at the top of the cage to make it easy to stand on.
mhm,
And this match has enough, bells and whistles with it to have an awesome cage match without having somebody having to dive off the top of it.
mhm.
And now you've injured both people who did the dives off the top of the cage with Jimmy and Bronson. And Bronson, like you said, he was on for some big, big things, and now he's out indefinitely, and that hurts my heart big time because I love that guy, and he's getting his, just rewards,
Mhm.
and now it's cut short, and who knows when he can come back. He might miss this WrestleMania because of this,
Yeah.
So for a dazzling high spot for a moment, he could have had that same impact coming off the top rope,
Yeah.
and he wouldn't have hurt himself like that. Um, and I know Jimmy's a much smaller guy, but you've done the same thing. You threw him off the top of the cage, and now he's out of action. Um, so I hate it from that part because it wasn't necessary.
Mhm. Yeah.
Um, so that's my big beef with it. Just because you have an cage match doesn't mean somebody has to just jump off of it. You can have a great banger of a cage match without people who don't need to be jumping off. Or don't I'm sure you don't practice that move very much. uh, Maybe with mats or whatever, but that's still going to suck when you land.
Mhm.
Uh, use the people who can do it, like EO. Um, I figured this is going to be a tradition, like Kofi doing the
The
ring
Royal
walk to
Rumble. Yep.
avoid getting eliminated, kind of thing. Like every year with her in the trash can for a while.
Mhm.
But that's my big thing. Let's keep the action inside and less people diving off of it.
Yeah. Yeah. So that was Survivor Series. I mean, like I said, I think we were waiting for aftermath and see where things were going, and they definitely left a not a bitter taste, but like a okay, what's next? Type of deal.
Yeah.
But not without the intrigue. It was just like okay, that happened. But let's get into Raw because Greg, should we just get into it? New Day. It's
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
it's a new day. Man, oh man. So we everybody and their mother talked this up, Greg.
Hmm.
Kofi could turn. Big E could reunite with them. Big E could announce his return. Xavier could turn. I did not see much talk, Greg, or if any, that Kofi and Xavier would turn and really put the wheels to it. And now I hope to God Big E comes back
Yeah.
because you have a tailor-made triple threat or whatever you want to do, and even Big E's girlfriend was going at it in Twitter, Greg, and
Oh, really?
she has no guns in the or she has no restrictions, so she was definitely putting out some tweets. So this thing, man,
Yeah.
the 360 it took, because at first I was like, oh, Kofi's turning. And then you had, Xavier Woods use his serious voice. And then I was like, oh, this is really happening. They are. And this is probably why I wish it would have been at the end because you would have
Hmm.
left that as the closing shot.
Yep.
But we got a Claymore at the end, Greg. So we did get Big Drew back. But, anyways, New Day segment, have at it.
Oh, man. You know, and we all saw it coming from a mile away. I'm sure they drew it up that way. And it looks like, like I said, who's going to be the one that stabs the others in the back. And it's the New Day. I mean, they've been coming up with the most brilliant segments for 10 years.
Hmm.
And so I'm looking at it, it's like, I don't know how it can be, how they can do this so it, flies against what we expect.
Mhm.
And so, it started that way. Everybody, staying there a little bit, but Woods being the one who's pouring gasoline on the fire.
Mhm.
And when Kofi got in and started double teaming Eve with, you know, you left us, you did this, you did that,
Mhm.
that got me. I was like,
You
what,
got a
what?
girlfriend. Like that's the kicker. Like, yeah, putting it like horrible. Who's how horrible it is to get a relationship when they probably know how long he's been out there in the game. So
Exactly. And he was the one that's meant to be the middleman, kind of the referee
mhm.
between E and Woods.
Yeah.
And the crosstalk was going to go between those two. And
Hmm.
when Kofi joined in and they started pelting E with the you weren't theirs, that what
Hmm.
got my eyes big. And I was like, oh,
Hmm.
this is what we're doing. And
Yep.
classic New Day segment, taking us a direction we did not expect. And he can't really do anything about it. And he played his part because you can see how heartbroken he was. A real tear coming down,
Hmm.
um, and you felt it. And we know the whole history, the whole story, and so you know, like CM Punk says, "Tell me when I'm telling lies," and nobody's telling any lies. And so, it got your heart, and it kind of twisted it and squeezed it, and you just felt it. And he got out and he left, and he's like, "This is it," and he's not going to be back anymore. And that's a good send off to remember him by in a odd kind of way, because we're not going to forget this segment for a
Hmm.
long time, because this was brilliant.
Yeah.
And it hit us in a way that we did not see coming. So they got me. It's not the first time. It probably won't be the last time. But I like the idea of Kofi and Woods both going dark.
Hmm.
As we figured one was going to turn on the other two. Now two turned on one,
Yeah.
and we're going to get a whole different rendition of the New Day. This reminds me of the Usos when they went from
The
the
best.
the
Hey, face paint.
yeah, all the paint and the highlighter, glowing in the dark, to just wearing black and white and injuring people left and right. And this is the new
It will
Uso.
be interesting to see, music wise, look
Yeah,
wise, aesthetic wise, how they change because
right.
you have to do it. So, our Bailey, when she started destroying her Bailey, her
Yep.
inflatables, and cut the hair. I mean, that was a big thing, the side ponytails. So,
Yeah.
very interesting. And Biggie had a nice uh, essay on the is it the Players Tribune, which is a lot of
Yep.
athletes write up um, about all the struggles he's kind of went through. So and then find the new day and all that. So very good read there on him. Some other stuff. CM Punk, Seth Rollins, give me all the matches, Greg. I don't care if they start at Royal Rumble, Elimination Chamber, and finish off at WrestleMania. Give me a series of matches because they are ready, and I think you can really up the ante in each match.
Hmm.
Sami Zayn stepping in there, and Rollins, like we said, slowly turning the wheels into a heel again, which is usually his best side of things. And like people brought up him, Drew, Kevin Owens, give them a logical heels faction, Greg, because it's not like
Yep.
they're not turning for no reason. They all have valid reasons, which is a very big boon for Triple H and how he's been working lately. Making things
Hmm.
logical. Um, so yeah, CM Punk, Seth Rollins, off and running. Don't know when that happens, but it will happen sooner rather than later.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. This segment was awesome. And when they have real life heat,
Hmm.
it makes it even better,
Yeah.
because those promos hit a little harder,
Hmm.
and they're not scared to hit each other, where it hurts, and pick on a scab that, maybe they only the two of them know about,
Hmm.
and they're just bringing it to light. And that's going to make the match even more, salty and feisty. Um, but yeah, A plus segment. And just the way Seth was talking to him, you could feel that. I mean, this whole show is all about the feels.
Yeah.
Um, but even with when you throw Sammy into the mix and
Mhm.
the post promo that we got after this one. Um, but yeah, I'm like you. Give me Seth and Punk right into my veins, and I will take it as many times you want to give me that shot. It's gonna be awesome. And I think that's the WrestleMania plan. We finally got Punk back healthy, survive War Games without
Mhm.
getting hurt.
Yeah, he actually looked better than better than. Then again, he didn't have to do as much in the War Games match in the Hell in a Cell with Drew, where they kind of released the shackles from both of them.
Yeah,
So yeah, and
and they did a
speaking of
better
Drew,
job of selling the effect of that Hell in a Cell match.
yeah,
How long was he gone, and now he has War Games, and he's back the next night. So it did more. It, it's paying off Hell in a Cell even further down the line. Especially with Drew being taking so long to come back too. So they're just doing a great job, and like I said, it's a shout out to Triple H and how great a job he's doing of tying up these storylines and making it make sense.
mhm. Yeah, and I think so. We did see Drew at the end. I love Joe Tessitore. Claymore, but I don't know who it is. That whole that is the downfall. It's like okay, like yeah, who else hits a Claymore? But I guess I'm very curious to play it for Drew. I guess we're going back to Sami Zayn. I mean, is it? I kind of think John Cena's the end game, right? I don't, I kind of want Drew to just go on a tear of big baby faces, and then what better way than to go the ultimate baby face? So I'm very interested on the plan for Drew.
Yeah, you and me both. I've been meaning to ask you what you thought of Joe Tessitore coming over from the.
Yeah, I mean, I don't, and I think he fits in well. There's like I said, and that would have been Michael Cole. That would have been like, that is the downfall about announced teams when they're like they don't act like they don't know who it is,
Mhm.
but he hits the move. If he just like
Right.
takes him out with a chair or something like that, or some generic move. Okay, you could play up the could it be him? But I mean, it was a Claymore. Like,
Right.
you know,
And I
now
love Joe.
granted, Joe Tessitore, maybe he hasn't been on TV as much, so you could play that up as him not knowing everybody. But yeah, so
Yeah,
it
I
is
mean,
what it is. Well,
he's
if we
still
get
in it.
McAfee back for Netflix, so you'll be curious. I'll be curious to see if Wade and Joe will move to SmackDown. But then and then probably a three. Does Netflix go back to the three-man booth? Corey, Pat, and Michael Cole, because I could see Netflix wanting Michael Cole and Pat McAfee together, but
Right.
then our Corey Graves stays on SmackDown, so I feel like Corey will kind of be the odd man out though either way. So
Yeah. I remember Joe Tessitore from Holy Moly, the uh,
was that the?
the mini golf that was created
Oh,
by
okay,
Steph Curry, and it turned into a
yeah.
game show on the
It was on
giant
like
courses.
wasn't on like one summer or two summers maybe.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and he
Okay.
was he was on that, and aside
Okay.
from that, I'd seen him maybe on
Is he
a
on
ball game.
NFL? I thought he was an NFL guy too.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
And so it was weird hearing his voice
Yeah.
because I like the Holy Moly
Yeah.
show, and I remember him from broadcasting miniature golf, and his voice took a minute for me to settle in and get used to hearing calling wrestling.
Yeah.
But I think he's doing a good job as far as uh, his knowledge of,
Yeah.
aside from not knowing who's the Claymore.
Yeah.
Uh,
But like I said,
but
I think they would have done that in any announced,
yeah, any of them would have done that. Yeah.
unfortunately. But yeah, that's a small nitpick. But
But
what
I
what
think
do
he
you think
fits
the
in.
plan? What do you think the plan is for Drew then? Just to go on a
That's
tear and see who stops him?
Yeah. I like your that idea. Him ending up with Cena, and for him to come up at the end of the night, and a night that we had another sneak attack on Jey Uso,
Hmm. That could
who
play up
did it.
too.
Nobody saw. There's a lot of sneak attacks, and nobody know who did it.
The Street
We got
Profits on Friday night.
right. We need to get Perry Mason up in here,
Turn it into
or
the NXT parking
somebody.
lot.
There you go. It's like the backstage is a dangerous place now.
Mhm.
But I think maybe in the short term that we get a Drew and Jay, because you can't tell me that the guy who took out Jay was not Drew, because it's too much of a coincidence. Drew always had an issue with Jay, and they've already have heat to begin with.
Mhm.
Um, so, and we saw the bloodline too. So I think that's a good um, red herring kind of thing that they were backstage beating up people,
Mhm.
and Jay got beat up and nobody saw it. So you would think it's the bloodline, but that's the same night we saw Drew too,
Mhm.
and Drew who has big issues with Jay.
Yeah.
Um, so I think this may be where he starts with Jay, because I'm gonna say it now that he's the one who did it,
Yeah.
who got Jay from behind. Um, but as far as his future plans, I love the John Cena idea, and John putting him over, putting Drew over.
Mhm.
Um, Drew's one of the MVPs of 2024,
Yeah.
and so again, making it make sense, and giving you your just reward for all the hard work you're doing, taking that big L at Hell in a Cell, but making that one of the matches of the year.
Mhm.
You know, you're going to get your credit for that at some point. So uh, he's going to get a big spotlight at WrestleMania, and he may not be winning a title at WrestleMania, but beating the biggest icon in the game is a good
Yeah. That's
consolation prize.
I'll take that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, some other stuff. Liv Morgan, Raquel won the match. Gets damage control, just kind of playing that off. A lot of people are calling for Io Sky to take the title off Liv at Saturday night's main event, Greg, but I do not see that happening. Like I said, I mean, the ultimate is it's got to be Rhea. I don't see another plan.
Yeah.
So, Dakota Kai moved on. What about Gunther, Rick? It feels like, are they slowly turning Gunther into face?
It feels like it. It feels like it.
I mean, I think you have to turn some guys because we are getting so many heel turns, Greg.
Yeah.
And it feels like Gunther might be moving to SmackDown because he showed up on SmackDown. So, yeah, I kind of curious to see what they'll do with Gunther, but it feels like it's a face turn, just organic, not like an under the radar face turn.
Right. And they've been doing that slowly. I mean, I think one thing was sending Ludwig off into the world on his own
Yeah.
that he did a couple weeks ago. And, telling him, giving him that speech, you're going to have to make your own name and go
Yeah.
out and make them notice you.
Yeah.
And giving them that type of speech. That's not what you say when you're, you know, an evil guy and you got your henchman there to do your dirty work. You don't send your henchman away
Yeah.
and tell him go out in the world and be somebody. And that's what he's doing. Um, and his promos have changed a little bit. He's going less on the street trash and running down the audiences. His promos taking a different note lately. Um, so I think you're right that there's a really really low level face turn happening, and put him on SmackDown would complete the whole thing.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be a fan of that because I like to see it on Monday nights. Then what are you going to do at Cody? You're going to switch him over too, because you can't have both champions on one brand.
I mean, that is the downfall. I don't know because I feel like Roman. I think Netflix wants Roman, so that probably slides him over there. But yeah,
Mhm.
and it could have just been a testing the waters to see where he ends up. But I think it's very telling that he did show up on SmackDown. So,
Yeah, but there's a couple other Raw stars on SmackDown
that's true. Yeah.
that night too. You saw him off in the background.
Mhm.
I forgot who it was, but Nick Aldis was in the background with another
Yeah.
superstar while a guy was being interviewed in in the foreground.
Yeah.
So, and I can't remember for the life of me who it was, but I noticed that. So we maybe see more people jumping sides before the end of the year. And like I said, with Netflix getting launched first
January
week of
6th.
January,
Yep.
now's the time to put those pieces in place.
Our truth won, and that's all I'll say there.
Yes, our truth.
Yeah, Pete Dunne. Yeah, he's got to eat some crow. It looks like for a time. But anyways, so what about Deadline last night? Obafemi. He was emotional, Greg. I mean, he showed real emotion at the end of that match. Ethan Page was the highlight for me, Greg. Ethan Page is just clicking on all cylinders, and I do think it's time to call him up. Javon Evans still thinking he's what 20 now. 20. It is crazy to think what the sky could be, the ceiling could be for him. But Obafemi gets it. Is he taking out Trick Williams to get that title, Greg?
Well, first thing, they had like a 12-hour day yesterday, so I did not get to watch it.
Okay. Okay.
So I'm just going to be doing the reaction part of it
Okay.
because I don't know what happened.
That's fine.
But it's all good. I'm still going to watch it anyway. So um, Oba gets the North American.
No, he won the Iron Survivor Challenge.
I'm sorry. Okay.
So he'll get a title shot against Trick Williams.
Okay. So I love this because this is a Clash of Titans that we haven't been able to see yet.
Uh-huh. And he hasn't been on TV in a little bit. Oh, but I think he's kind of been off TV. So
yeah,
they took out who did they take out? Oh, Eddie Thorpe. Because now you have Eddie Thorpe kind of playing the victim card, Greg.
right.
He keeps losing stuff. Then I think at the end of there was a moment at NXT when he leaves the office and then Stevie and Robert Stone see somebody and their jaws drop. So we don't know who the heck that is. But so Obafemi gets the slide in as Eddie Thorpe is not medically cleared. And he got a double pin towards the end to get 4 points where everybody else had 2 points. Because
okay.
they do the if you get pinned, you have to go to the penalty box for 90 seconds.
Right.
And then so Nathan Frazier got bloodied legit, and then he still had to fight a tag team match, Greg. And I think the band-aids were not holding up because he got bloody in that match. So Fraxium keeps rolling. We are not pulling them apart yet, but I think it's probably time. Lola Vice picks up the win over Jada Parker. We did the shot of Jada just sitting by the ring, not knowing what's next. I kind of wonder if she might get called up, Greg.
Yeah,
because I think they want to try to they've already called up Lash kind of under the radar, and maybe Jada gets the call up. I think she's ready for it. Trick Williams defeated Ridge, and then this shows how much Shawn Michaels believes in the women because the women closed the night and Julia won. And sorry, Roxanne, you were probably losing that title finally. But I also think it's good for Roxanne because, like we've said, I think it's pulling Roxanne up to the big time. So, but I think but Julia was involved. Stephanie Vakir, Zarya, Solruka, Greg. If you see highlights of her, she did a buckshot lariat double one off a 450 splash, buckshot lariat type. She was doing double soul snatchers.
Holy crap!
She was getting the shine in all the match. But Julia gets the win overall. And like I said, I think it's on to bigger and better things for Roxanne. And then Julia carries this new crop of women, which is getting it's nice little renaissance period for them down there. So those are my quick takeaways, Greg. But yeah, and then we can kind of get into SmackDown and kind of let you catch up on it. If you have any thoughts, you can give us on those next week.
Yeah, I like the sound of that because some of those women are ready to go.
Yeah.
And we've heard talk that there's going to be a big, meeting of all the GMs.
Yes.
From Raw, SmackDown, NXT, and talking about the talent exchanges. And I think this is a sign of that. That
Mhm.
we know Roxanne's ready to go.
Yeah.
We see Lash is ready to go. We see Jada Parker is definitely ready to go. And the fact that she lost this match, that could be her cue that she's off. She's ready to go. Um, she is blowing away. As far as the screen tests that I
Yeah.
talked about, she's passed the screen test. So she's ready.
Mhm.
She's going to look great on SmackDown or Raw, and these all three of these ladies are ready to go.
Mhm.
Um, and like I said, that the new somebody's going to have to lead the new crop.
Yeah.
And giving Sol Ruka such a huge spotlight and letting her shine the way she does, she's going to be one of those girls. Um, love Sol, you know that.
Mhm.
And then we have, my girl Nikita down there too. Um, once Roxanne and, Jada and some of the standouts that are there right now come up, who are going to be the next girls up. And
Yeah.
those is going to be them, Soul, who's just finding her footing. Nikita is just coming back from injury. Um, and
Mhm.
then Julia and Stephanie, who just got here and have had their first cup of coffee. Um, they're going to be the next wave.
Mhm.
So I like what they're doing. And, Raw and SmackDown needs those talent infusions.
Yep.
And whoever loses between Oba and Trick, I'm thinking that that
He
guy's
might
going to
get
be
called
coming
up.
up.
Mhm.
So I think I know what the story when that match is going to happen, but I would assume maybe before the end of the year, because I
I'm
think
wondering
they
if they
have one
might do
more
New Year's Evil,
New Year's Evil. Okay,
because that
and
would be
then
the first. Because I think they're going to be, they're not saying they're not live, but I think they are taping a couple episodes of NXT in the meantime, and then go back live that first week of January. So, and usually New Year's Evil is 2 weeks, I think, or isn't it? So, they
uh-huh.
usually do two parts. So, yeah, I would assume maybe do women's match one week, men's match the next week, or whatever, whichever way. But, yeah, I think night, and it's not like Julia, Zarya, and Stephanie are rookies. They're rookies at NXT, yes, Greg,
Right,
but they are definitely
but
ring veterans internationally. So uh, Shawn Michaels and William Regal down there. I'm guessing it's probably William Regal who's doing all the scouting and talent relations. They got some of them cooking down. I mean, it feels like the old horsewomen days, Greg,
yeah,
where
I
you
was
got
thinking the
plenty
same
of
thing.
talent that you got your big stars, but you also have up and coming talent that can are ready to taste it too. So it is a good time for the women. That I mean, the fact that you put that in the main event, I think is telling us everything that we need to know about the women down there. And then you still have Jordan Grace showing up. I mean,
Hmm.
I'm sure she's I feel like she's like a prisoner on her contract, just counting down the days, Greg. I feel like so. Um, I'm sure she loves TNA, but I think there's greener pastures to be had for her
For
in
sure.
NXT/WWE. So
And then when you look at NXT from the beginning, 2.0 to right now,
yeah, what a difference.
it's been a huge evolution, and now we got so much better talent wise, and the people who started with 2.0
Mhm.
are so much better
Yeah.
compared to those first days.
Mhm.
And so uh, this is like you said, great shout out to Shawn Michaels and everybody who's down there, really churning that roster and making sure that we get a brand that's watchable, because I
Yeah.
know I've complained many times about how unwatchable it's been with
Mhm.
starting with the 2.0 era, and only recently getting to a level where it feels like it's adjacent to black and gold
Yeah.
NXT as far as
Mhm.
character wise and the richness of the stories and things like
Interesting. It
that.
is
So
black and silver now as their their colors. Like
yeah,
you're giving a little love back, but you're also starting with instead of gold, you're doing silver. So
right.
and even Trick Williams using the black and silver like kind of color scheme, saying those words. So I think
Mhm.
that NXT is definitely getting a little resurgence than what they needed. So. How about on SmackDown? Oh, wrong one. SmackDown, Greg. Um, DIY. They had a pretty good night, didn't they? Are they the ones who took out the Street Profits?
um, I think so. That was
Yeah.
my first thought when I saw Street Profits got taken out.
Mhm.
Uh, that was my first thought, and now it makes more sense. Uh, they did get me with the, with the Johnny Gargano joining the dark side with Tommaso Ciampa, because they did a great job of selling the, these are my buddies, and I got us the championship match, yay,
Yeah.
and then seeing the
Low blow.
right the low like, oh, okay, got him, and they got a lot of us
Mhm.
because Tommaso's been driving that car really well, and just dragging Johnny along from the rear fender.
Yeah.
But he's been in the passenger seat the whole time. So great plan, and living up to the motto of DIY. You got to do it yourself, and
Mhm.
they fooled us, they fooled the machine guns, and I loved how the turn happened. So
And I don't think it
yeah,
hurt. And I know people are like, well, it's only 40 days, 42 days. But I mean, just the fact that you gave the Motor City Machine Guns the tag team titles right away, and you're putting them in these spotlights, Greg. I
hmm
still think they're, I think they're cooking over there that they want the tag team. They want that who's to say Motor City Machine Guns don't get it back in a few months? Like short runs, just so everybody gets, that happened in the Attitude Era. I felt like a lot of tag teams got small runs, but they were all at some point, the man. So, and,
right,
then you have a reason for the Street Profits to be upset because it looked like they were kind of teasing a turn, Greg. So you wonder if you might slide them back into the good side, just because now you have DIY, in the heel. And, we've seen Gargano with the way, Greg, be just that snarky heel. So it is going
yeah,
to be very interesting now to kind of see, does he just get more of the, does he still keep that snarky side? Because you have Champa as the kind of the straight up heel, and then Gargano maybe being the swarmy Chad Gable type.
yeah,
Speaking of
yeah, yeah,
Chad Gable, how
for
about him?
sure.
Looks like Chad Gable getting a little bit of love. Gets Cody Rhodes at the end of the night. Greg gets to get a nice promo, and he is from Minnesota, so he got some love there. And yeah, but then Kevin Owens takes him out. Do we pull the trigger, Greg, on Owens winning that damn title at Saturday night's main event?
I wish. I really,
I
really, really
mean,
wish that it would happen,
yeah,
but there's no way.
yeah.
There's no, and I would be blown away if they do pull the trigger and give KO the title. I mean, even if it's for a month run and then Cody gets it back,
Yeah.
I would love KO to get it because KO's another one of my MVPs. Guy just,
How about
it,
the interview in the car?
it was great. I loved it so much.
Yeah,
Especially the end. Will you please get out my rental vehicle?
yeah.
Just KO being KO, and then the
Then calling him back and be like, "Oh yeah," and he's like, "Oh, you're going to apologize," and then he just speeds off, speeds off. So
so good, so good.
it would have been awesome if
Yeah.
he has a new Lambo. Can you imagine if he would have done a a nice segment in that Lambo? Make Michael Cole come out to the Lambo because there was some
Um.
backstage shot that he was showing Randy Orton his Lambo. So
Uh.
yeah, Kevin Owens spending that new contract money, Greg.
Hey, I would too,
Yeah.
but it was a great segment, and
Or
like
do
I
you
said,
think do they give Kevin Owens maybe the DQ win without winning the title?
uh, I want them to give him a win. But Cody getting the squad. It could be with the animosity going on, and
Cody
maybe
goes
Cody
too
does lose
far.
control for a minute and show he's not just all wholesome goody two shoes all the time.
Yeah.
Um, that would be a great way to pay it off. That and give KO a win. I just don't see it happening. I hope I'm wrong,
Yeah.
but I think more of a double DQ if is more likely, or it just goes out into the
Pretty much
audience for
go.
so
Yeah.
long they just
Like no
count both of them
contest.
out.
And then maybe Royal Rumble. Maybe you just do a one-on-one straight up and let them have at it.
Yeah, I think this is first match, and then once this ends up without a clear winner, then you have a second match with some stakes on it, whether it's
Yeah,
a no holds barred or a
yeah,
strap match or whatever
yeah.
that has those flexibility in the rules where DQs aren't going to
Offense.
happen. So,
Yeah, yeah. So,
but you need a
uh,
reason for to have another match. And this can't finish with just one match.
yeah. Tiffany's moving on. She did defeat Naomi and Electra. Tiffany got a lot of love. She was also there last night in Minnesota for Deadline. Greg, possibly teasing that she might cash in for Money in the Bank on the NXT Women. So kind of good. It is. I think that's important to show that yes, you could cash in on anybody, um, but it's long overdue for her to cash in. So we'll see when that happens. Bianca beat Piper Niven. We already know Chelsea Green's moving on. Yeah, Chelsea or Meechin, Greg, for my picks for that title, the U.S. title. But I'm trying to think of who else is in there. Is that the finals or is that the semifinals and then the finals is for? Because I thought Saturday night main event they're doing the finals, but trying to remember what all the different stuff.
Yeah, I've
But
lost
anyways,
track
go
of
ahead.
it.
Sorry. While I'm looking that up, you can go talk because I'm
Yeah.
all flustered.
Um, I've been, just kind of Chelsea's segments are entertaining in a R Truth kind of way.
Yeah.
Um, but I'm starting to enjoy her matches a little bit more.
Hmm.
Um, she's really committed to her craft, and going back to the dumpster match, and the dumpster match was really good. When she lost, she got thrown in, and they had the running joke of what stinks in here for a few weeks after
Yeah.
whenever Chelsea was on the screen. Um, and she's just a great wing person for Piper, and being the little yappy dog that hides behind the pit bull
Hmm.
uh, with Piper, and she's she's just solid every time she goes out. So she goes and she wins the opportunity, then I'm not gonna be mad at it because she's gonna be great in whatever she's doing. She's
Like.
really shown her her chops.
Hmm.
But she's grown on me like a fungus. She's just
Yeah.
grown on me, and now I'm invested. I want to see more Chelsea.
Hmm.
Um,
So we're
so
gonna get Bailey and Chelsea, and then Meechin and Tiffany, and then those two winners will face each other on Saturday night. So this
okay,
Friday we'll have Bailey, Chelsea Green, and Meechin and Tiffany Stratton. Who do,
interesting.
who do you got, Greg? Who's coming out on top out of those four women?
It's now that's what are the stakes? This is for the
So we got two semifinal matches. So we have Bailey, Chelsea Green, Meech
uh
and Tiffany Stratton. The final will be the two winners for the United States Women's Championship. Remember the new
okay,
title.
first
So
U.S.
now that we have,
champion. Okay,
sorry, now we have an IC women's side on Raw, and then the U.S. title on men or on SmackDown.
okay. So I would say Tiffany, but we can't have Tiffany win because she's about to win the world title when she
Yeah.
cashes
Is
in.
she?
With that day, who knows when?
Yeah.
But when she cashes in, she's going to win. Maybe she's waiting for WrestleMania to do it. I don't know.
Yeah.
I hope not, because you don't want to kill her vibe, and by the time she cashes in, people are like, "Oh, finally, golf
Yeah.
clap."
And
Um,
they don't get, no reaction for a cash in would be the worst thing ever.
right, and they were just in her hometown. That would have been a great place to pull it off too.
Yeah.
So since that's about to happen, I don't think it's going to be her,
Yeah.
and it's definitely not going to be Meechin. She has a personality for wet mop, and she doesn't do the gangster vibe as well as she thinks she does. Um, we're gonna have Parker put her under the learning tree and show her how it's done. Um, so you know,
Chelsea?
weird as it is to say, I'm going to say Chelsea. Let's do
Let's
Chelsea,
go,
and
Chelsea Green.
it's too
It's her
good. And then you
time.
have Piper is her
That
kind
bump
of
she did
heavy.
at TLC or Money in the Bank, right? She deserves it.
Yeah, I agree. I mean,
One of the biggest bumps we've seen for a woman in a while. So yeah,
holy crap! Yeah,
I mean, even her getting in the win over Bailey and then maybe losing the finals is still pretty big for her. I
yeah.
mean,
I
to
mean,
beat
they're
Bailey.
shining her up
So
real nice. So and she's got Piper to be her, her heavy and help her cheat.
mhm.
So she could get a good couple month run out of it before somebody beats her.
Mhm.
Um, so I'm all for it. Just pull the trigger and give it to Chelsea.
Yeah, and if Matt Cardona wasn't busy with Ring of Honor and showing up on AW, Greg, Long Island is his home. He could have helped his hot wife win something, but yeah, that would have been a way to get Matt Cardona back on TV. But yeah, we'll see. I'm going all in. Chelsea Green for the win there. So some other stuff. Piper Niven lost to Bianca. Bianca's still in the case, Greg. She's pulling the Nancy Drew, trying to figure out who solved it. Um, I'm thinking it's Naomi. Was the Jade Cargill takeout or Bailey? I guess you could pull a Bailey heel turn, and Bailey could be the one, Bailey Naomi. But
Yeah.
yeah, so LA Knight won a rematch. He didn't quite get it because Andrade came out there. Greg, Carmelo's moved on. He's waiting for a match against somebody. They said a new superstar, and we do have a new a free agent out there, Greg, who's clear to go. Your favorite guy, the masked one. Could he show up on SmackDown sooner rather than later?
Mm,
Penta?
who?
Pentagon. He,
No.
he said his goodbyes to Mexico last night.
Oh, did he? Okay. Well,
Yep.
this plays into my theory about the tag team scene, though.
Yeah.
Uh, my thought was that with DIY turning heel,
Mm-hmm.
Street Profits are still going to be, fighting mad when, next week over who jumped them,
Mm-hmm.
and you got the machine gun, so you got a good 3-team carousel going right there, and they could be taking turns beating down each other,
Yeah.
and they're all. I'm putting them all in the heel category because I think the Street Profits are going to go darker.
Yeah.
Um, and we can carry this on. It's December now, beginning of April's WrestleMania,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm getting flashbacks of WrestleMania 33, where you had this tag team championship, um, the ladder match,
Yeah.
and we had all but one team determined, and that's where we had the big return of the Hardys.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And
Okay.
I think we're gonna have a similar thing going on right here. This is what it feels like with the Guns, um, DIY, and
Street
the
Profits.
Profits, and then the great fourth team, the mystery team that come out of nowhere, the Lucha Brothers,
Mm.
for their big unveiling at WrestleMania. Another similar type of match where it's ladder match, probably the most logical,
Yeah.
especially with Ray
Okay.
Phoenix being one of the best high flyers there is. That'd be a great place to bring them in and show them as the new kings.
Yep.
Um, so I had the Lucha Brothers coming in together
Okay.
and being the ones to be the new kings of the hill after the other three,
Mm-hmm.
take their licks on each other
Yeah.
and set up, because there's no clear um, order after the next couple months. Then we put them all together, one big blowout match, but
Mm-hmm.
there's another team involved.
Yeah.
Um, and that's where we introduce the Lucha Brothers to the world and, give them the titles off the bat. So, they
Okay.
like bringing bringing new people in and crowning them.
Yep. Crown their ass.
No more deserving team than the Lucha Bros.
You want to crown them, crown them.
Yeah, exactly. So
Uh,
that's my theory. That's why I don't see Penta as a solo, because I think he
mhm.
and Ray are going to be coming in together.
It
But
does sound like Ray is kind of in purgatory down there, though. So it might be a little bit later for him to come. We shall see. But he is putting out some tweets, so we'll see if that leads to anything. But somebody joked like he should just go after Jack Perry, get himself fired. So yeah.
there you
But
go.
anyway, so some dynamite stuff or some quick Continental Classic for AW. Greg, these are our latest standings. Kyle Fletcher got a win over Okada, which is crazy. Kyle Fletcher is now in the lead, Greg, with 9 points. Okada's got 4. Garcia's got 4. I think Mark Briscoe picked up a win recently. Shelton Benjamin, him and Fletcher, Greg, that did get a lot of pop. Shelton Benjamin definitely looked refreshed down in AEW or up in AEW, wherever we want to call it. He definitely looks like he's found a different, side of things. And him and Fletcher did put on a match that I really wasn't sure which way it would go. You kept going both sides, but the Beast Mortos, Greg, still in the 0 spot, just like Commander. Sorry for the Hispanic Latino wrestlers, Greg, because they are right in the zeros. But Claudio, 6 points there. Will Ospreay 3. Brody King. Speaking of, nice hard hitting match. Brody and Claudio was getting. I think they got the meat chance a couple times, Greg. So when they were hitting, Darby Allin and Ricochet have 3. So right now, we look at Claudio and Kyle Fletcher as the leaders, but I think Claudio does. I think he keeps. He won some tournament in Mexico, Greg. I think it's his time now. You have Moxley as champion. Why not give Claudio something big? So Kyle Fletcher, of course, he keeps rolling. Doesn't look like they're going to stop the train on him, do they?
No, this I like the tournament just because of the the matchups, and I've noticed the whole idea, and the fact that they're putting people on top that you don't expect.
Yeah.
Kyle Fletcher with 9 points. What? It's like and Okada.
And like I said, beat Okada last night or 2 nights ago.
Yeah, and so it's kind of putting the writing on the wall unless he has a furious comeback that he's not going to finish or come out of this classic with his title.
Yeah,
which is the genius way of taking it off of him without him losing. Well, well, more or less. Getting pinned in a singles match for his title, and then pass it on to somebody else who could use that elevation, like Kyle Fletcher. So I like what they're doing there, and you're helping, get some more guys in that, upper echelon, because you need to bring some guys up. I don't know about you, but I think the product's been struggling for a while.
Well,
I love what
we say there's like nothing that is sinking my teeth into it.
Yeah.
The Moxley stuff, I don't know. I don't think it's hitting as they think it should. Because it feels like there's nobody that's at their level to match them. So, and I think because what we have, I was going to bring up, we had so it looks like for World's End, we're going to get what? Jay White, Hangman Page, Orange Cassidy, and Moxley, probably for the title. Just throw all the pieces. Was Darby involved in that too? Well, Darby said he wanted to come. He came at the end of Full Gear, right, to go after Moxley. Yeah. So do you throw everybody in it, or I feel like I feel like Darby might be the one out because I think they want Darby and Moxley 1-on-1 and let them kill each other. So because we did have Jay White defeat Pac in a really, we did have some good, strong matches. Yeah. But it just feels like that's all it is. It's just a match, and then, you don't really know where things are coming. So yeah, the Death Riders story and what they did the other night with Orange Cassidy, they were trying to feed him poison, and then FTR had to come make the save. You've already had a bag. I mean, you think it's going? Is it maybe too far?
Well, I think they passed too far with Brian Danielson, so it's like
That's what I'm saying. Yeah,
we,
with
we
the
can't
plastic
we can't
bag.
do any worse. So let's
Yeah,
just keep doing the most vile things we can think of. Let's
yeah,
pour bleach in Orange Cassidy's face.
yeah.
Um, so
While somebody's filming it.
right. So they've raised the bar to unspeakable levels already, and
Yeah.
nobody is shown they can stand against it just yet. And who's going to do it? And now we're finally seeing a couple guys stand with them, or as far
Yeah.
as a couple,
Well,
Hangman.
now we did have
I mean,
Hangman
we
Pat
didn't
or
expect
Hangman.
Hangman,
Yeah, Hangman White and Orange Cassidy all standing tall.
right? So now we're getting a troop of guys who would make sense
Yeah.
if they band together. They can take them down.
Well, especially
Uh,
since Orange Cassidy and Hangman are OGs.
right,
Moxley came in. He was an outsider.
right.
Um, I guess technically Jay White never went to the other side, so you could have him, on that, you know, insider side of things, as a New Japan guy, because they did have a relationship with New Japan. So, but yeah, like you said, maybe slowly making the lines blurry, Greg, for Hangman, face and heel. But like I said, then you throw it out the window when you have all four of them in a match come World's End. I think that's at the end of this month. So,
Yeah,
yeah,
and just as long as they keep the Hangman the same way he is now,
yeah.
just
Or keep
um,
Jay White the same way he is.
right.
Orange
And
Cassidy is the one that's like showing a little darker side, but still keeping the crowd behind him.
yeah. So now we're getting the group together that we can see being able to beat them.
Yeah,
If you put them in war games against each other, um, you can make a case for the Hangman Orange Cassidy team winning because they're building a strong group now, and having the Acclaimed and Top Flight
you
and
almost need a
those
blood and
guys.
guts match sooner rather than later.
Right, right. So that first troop that wasn't going to do it, but now you're putting together a squad that can hang with them.
Yeah,
Um, so I love what the Death Riders are doing
yeah.
and how they're presenting it.
Mhm.
I'm not the biggest fan of the title in the briefcase because I think it would hit harder if John Moxley came out and he had the title on his shoulder just to rub it in our faces. This is what you want. This is what I have. And I have this. I have the power. And
Well, I
all
guess
he's
that's what
talking
it
about
feels
that.
like. Like there should be something more. If he doesn't want the title, then what does he want?
Right.
If you're showing no regard for the title, or else, like people brought, I mean, it's almost like he's keeping it hostage because he
Yeah.
does have it in a briefcase. He's not flaunting it. It's almost making it like it is worse off. So
True.
some other things, Adam Cole, Kyle O'Reilly stuff, Greg, is that hitting you?
I'm not liking it. It
Yeah.
just it doesn't we know the history and I think this is the way they're gonna try to get
Do we have
the three
Kyle
of them back
O'Reilly just
together, but
partner up with MJF to make it really stick to Adam Cole at the end of this?
ooh, that's evil. But I like it. So they'll I think the end game is that they will reform, you know, the undisputed era.
Mhm.
I don't know what the story is with Bobby Fish, but as far as the other three, it's this is a long road around to put the three of them back together. They're just doing a clunky job of telling the story,
Yeah.
but
Well, I think it just maybe might be too little, too late.
yeah,
Like MJF and Adam Cole, that stuff is just so far out of our minds. Now you're trying to revisit it, but you can't recreate, that that magic they had that
Hmm.
could have turned into a good feud.
Yeah.
Especially because you pretty much switched the sides anyway. You had Adam Cole as a bad guy because he was the devil all along, and you had
Hmm.
MJF get screwed over. So you should, but yeah. So Max Caster is people brought up getting punished without getting punished, Greg, because he's looking like an idiot.
Yeah.
Just losing his swerve, calling himself the best wrestler in the world, which we all know who's normally said that. Yeah,
Yeah.
sorry, Max. You're. I mean, I guess they're getting you on TV, but I don't know what the heck. It does. Like people brought up, it feels like a burial just to prove something, and
Yeah.
I don't really know if I agree with that aspect. So yeah, but anyways, Anna Jay picked up a win, and then we did bring up some of the stuff from there. So uh, like Kyle Fletcher, man, Kyle Fletcher, Greg, and talk about hair growing back quick. Felt like
Yeah.
he
No
just shaved
kidding.
it, but
Holy crap, dude.
he's gonna have to get that one guard on back again. So, and then Claudio picks up a win, and I thought people really the crowd was into that, but it was being live. It was just kind of like okay, you're kind of watching a house show, like you're just
Uh-huh.
kind of there. So we also did see Okada picked up a win over Mark Briscoe. We also saw Daniel Garcia pick up a win. The Vendetta picked up a win, and then Ricochet picked up wins. And this could have been maybe I'm off, but anyways, because I thought they said anyways. Maybe I'm wrong, but let's just go to the end. Yeah, I do think overall AEW is in a lull, is what we're
Yeah.
really saying. I
Yeah.
don't. Nothing is really hitting. But then again, it could be WWE being so hot right now that it's hard for to kind of separate things for
Hmm.
AEW. So, but anyway, so my Colts are off today. Got my Pacers in action today and Friday. Out of the tournament of the Cup tournament, but we got bigger things to worry about because we got to get going, Greg. And yeah, so your Chargers. Who do your Chargers got today?
Man, it's gonna be a watershed moment tonight if they can pull off this win,
Is this the
because we
Chiefs?
got Sunday night football against the Chiefs
That's right. Okay.
in Arrowhead, and Chargers are 8-4 after a tough win with over Atlanta last week.
Hmm.
Um, Kansas City 11-1, of course, but this could be a changing of the guard type of game
Yeah.
where this is Harbaugh announcing we're here.
Hmm.
Um, in the first game, I think it was about week 4. Um, Somebody had rolled up on Justin Herbert and he could barely move,
Hmm.
but he still played in the game. Um, and they were missing both of their tackles, both of their Rashawn Slater and Joe Alt, who's leading all tackles in the AFC uh, vote getting for the Pro Bowl. So he's going to be a Pro Bowler his first year.
Yeah.
Um, Guys that good, but both of those guys did not play in that first Kansas City game,
Yeah.
and everybody's healthy as far as those two tackles and Justin Herbert, who's been using the wheels lately. Um, this could be it. I mean, that first game was 17-10, so you figure they would have gotten beat down and blown out of the building.
Hmm.
But that game was 17-10, even with all the huge injuries they had coming in. And now the guys are healthy, and you got a uh, prime time moment happening
Hmm.
against the Chiefs. And I'm loyal to the soil with my bolts, but I'm also a practical man. So you know, my heart is gonna be rooting for my Chargers to win, and this would be the Jim Harbaugh uh, coming out party.
Hmm.
We can get this win.
Yeah.
It's just going to be a hard one, but Chiefs are down. I mean, they're finding the flukiest ways to win
Hmm.
games I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Uh, you know, they lost. They beat the
You
Raiders because the
they,
Raiders botched the snap and couldn't kick a field goal.
yeah.
Um, they beat Baltimore because Isaiah's likely shoes are one size too large, and he touched the outline in the back of the end zone, they would have lost that game. Just they're finding the weirdest ways to win. They've got all the horseshoes around their neck, but I think there's got to be some point where that streak's got to end.
Mhm.
So I'm gonna ride or die and say my Chargers gonna finally do it, and Harbaugh is gonna get his signature win, and it's gonna mark the end of the Chiefs dynasty. I already said that they're not gonna win the Super Bowl this year and three-peat, but I think the downward spiral starts probably right here. I'm gonna call it right here,
Uh-oh.
and Chargers 17, Chiefs 14.
All right, we got it. You
Sunday
heard
Night
it here
Football tonight.
first. You
Good.
heard it here first.
Yes, sir. Hard hitting, smash mouth game, but they're going to keep Mahomes on the run. I guess the Chiefs don't even have a left tackle right now. They're rotating guys.
Yeah.
Guys don't play the position, and we got Mack and Bosa, and they're going to eat. And Mahomes is going to be on his back a lot tonight, I think. I'm putting it out there in the universe so it can happen. So I'm hyped for it. Sunday night, everybody can watch it and witness it. And this is we're pretty much already in the playoffs based on the teams we're finishing with. We got some weak teams on the end of the schedule, but we need this big win. So need the BW Sports energy in on the bolts so we can take down the evil empire. So
Evil.
let's
All
go.
right. Well,
Bolt up, baby.
that's what we got. We will be back next week. Saturday night's main event happening next week, Greg, at 8 p.m. on NBC and Peacock. So that'll be nice to kind of watch it there. And then, like I said, I think we got Worlds in at the end of this month. Then we're off and running towards Royal Rumble. It is a good time to get going. So we are excited. Big things happening. So
coming to Indy.
Coming to Indy. I cannot wait to make that happen. So at that note, let's end it right here. Enjoy the rest of your day. Enjoy the weekend. And let's have a good week this week.
Yes, sir.